Hello, Cameron.
Oh, hello, man. You okay?
I'm good, mate. How are you? How
I
how
am
is life? How
fantastic.
are things? Talk to me, brother.
Yeah, man. Things are good. Things are good. I, we just had Steph's friend staying for a week, so we've been quite busy going out and about. We went to Lancaster and the Lake District and stuff like that as well. Um,
Hosting, hosting,
hosting, yes,
hosting is
exactly.
tiring, man, isn't it?
It's surprising, yeah, because you kind of put stuff on hold a little bit in a sense of like I was saying to Steph earlier, like the other day, how it doesn't feel like you've seen each other for like just because you're just used to YouTube being together. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting how it's been a week and but yeah, it's been good, man. It's been good. Um, and since you're asking, we just briefly spoke about it. I've been filming YouTube videos this week, which has been nice.
This is a
Um,
huge announcement for everyone listening, guys. Cam is dropping YouTube video next week. Well, it might be the week you hear, but
yeah,
like
yeah.
it might be the week you're listening to this.
That's a good point. That's a good
Mate, I'm
point.
so gassed for you, and I'm so
Thanks, man.
because for those listening, pre-context, me and Cam have already had a bit of a catch up since I got back off holiday, and we've been chatting about like what we've been up to. But this YouTube channel that you're dropping and the videos that are going to be coming out, so is it going to be a fully new channel?
I think so. I already have a channel from like a few years ago. It's just my name.
Yeah.
Um, but I've decided that I'm gonna document like me aiming to like freelance in 3D, and so I think it's gonna be really good for. I'm gonna kind of treat it like a journal, but I think it's gonna be really good for people if they're watching and they just want to see like my processes and like obviously if I'm gonna be freelancing in a different industry, I'm basically starting from zero again. And so I'm going to be like, right, I need a portfolio. I need this many pieces of portfolio. I need this. Why am I doing this? Like,
Mm.
how am I reaching out to people? What is my social? Like, what am I doing on social? Like, I think it's like me jumping back on the beginner's treadmill, but I'm not kind of starting all the way from, like, I'm starting again, but with experience. And I think that's exciting, at least for me. And it'll just bring stuff out of me that I don't think to talk about, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure, mate.
so,
I'm really excited. I'm really excited. You'll
mm,
have to let the listeners know probably on your Instagram. I'm sure you'll direct people to it. Maybe. Yeah.
yeah. I'll include like a link just to the channel in the show notes of this
Yeah.
episode. And the video might already be up, as you said, when
Yeah.
it goes up. But yeah, I think I've just decided that it's like a full on, because I do have like these reservations of should I like say on like a YouTube video that like I'm aiming to kind of like pivot a little bit, like from video to 3D and kind of do a bit of both because you have clients that might see it and shit like that. Well, I'm not working with any clients at the moment, but you know what I mean, like my
Yeah.
network. And I just think, fuck it, it's fine. It doesn't
Well,
matter.
I'm glad you've adopted that kind of mindset because when I spoke to you about it, it was finally like, and it was the first time I'd kind of heard in your voice like you'd got some fire back, like
Mm,
you had a really, you know, you had drive again. You were passionate about talking about it. You were excited to create these videos. You were excited
mm,
to kind of channel your creative energy into something. And I feel
yeah,
like you've kind of obviously not really had that for a while. So it was really nice to chat to you about it and you'd be like, I've been working on this. I'm really excited. I'm waking up
yeah.
every day and I feel like I've got a bit of purpose. So yeah, man, it's exciting and I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all goes.
Thanks,
And
man.
and
Yeah,
I'll be here
it's really
holding
good.
you accountable every step of the way. So
Yeah, yeah. Of course, if I don't upload or anything, you can definitely get on to me about it.
yeah, I
But
will.
it's been really insightful in a sense of like because I right now I have like a little bit of time, like I have savings and stuff which I'm actively spending to just live my life, and it's nice to be able to pursue something and not have like a oh fuck I've got to like make money to like pay bills or whatever. Like I do have a little bit of a window, um, and it just kind of it opens the doors a little bit in terms of like I could wait till the end of like wait a few months or till the end of the year and then start it. But it's like, well, I might as well start now and have like breathing room to like if you don't have a client that month, then it's a bit like, oh well, it's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
It's just
nice.
somewhere to channel your energy, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what's exciting in my life right now. But
Nice.
what about you, man? Yeah, go on. You've just come back off holiday. We've
Yes.
already spoke about it, so forgive me if I
Can you
don't ask
tell
the
I
right
am
questions.
glowing? I am
But
glowing. I'm
mm,
tanned somewhere.
yeah, you're a
It's
little
this
bit.
this light doesn't do me justice.
I was gonna say I did expect you to be way, way more tanned because you're already kind of olive anyway. So,
Yeah, it's
um,
the light. It's the camera's throwing it off a bit.
yeah, everyone
But
always looks worse on camera as well.
yeah,
Like it just doesn't quite do it. Look how
uh,
shiny we are, bro. Oh my god. No.
glowing, mate. The holiday was great. Holiday was good. I did really struggle to switch off. Can't lie.
Hmm.
And I ended up locking my phone in the safe for 24 hours in the room because I was on it far too much whilst I was away. And it was
Hmm.
kind of a bit of a reality check to me, to be honest, because it made me realize how wrapped up I've been in my phone. Because probably, the 6 weeks leading up to before going away, spending a lot of time on socials and putting a lot of effort into my social channels and creating content and stuff. So I'm naturally just picking it up all the time. And also in the week when Yaz is in London, I'm not here. I'm just at home on my own, so it can't. No, I don't. I'm not lonely, but I find myself picking up my phone just
You
to
fill
keep
your
my
time, yeah.
yeah to fill my time and keep myself busy and stuff. So yeah, it was tough to kind of disengage and switch off, let's say. But I feel like I managed to definitely get some time in doing that, and I was looking forward to coming home. Like back at my desk, I'm back in my own bed, I'm back on my routine, back in the gym, and it just feels good again. So and also so we stayed in this really 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 nice resort in Sani, in Greece, and it was phenomenal. 100% want to go back, worth every penny, but you indulge, right, on holiday, and this is an issue. So
So you
usually I
came
wouldn't eat
back
dessert.
fat, mate.
Yeah, well, usually I wouldn't eat desserts after dinner. Like, try and stay away from sugar. Mate, the desserts they had on offer every night. It's 3-course meal. It's like dessert, 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 and it's just like all you can eat buffet for breakfast and lunch. And there's just all these mad desserts sprayed out, these Oreo cakes and creams and like all this. Oh,
Oreo.
mate. So it was quite dangerous.
That's what
Smashing
holidays are
the
for, man. That's what
I know,
holidays
I
are
know, I
for.
know. Smashing the Fanta Orange cans, getting through cans of Fanta Orange, and obviously I don't drink. Right, I had a drink on holiday, so it'd be my first drink this year, and I got a pina colada because that was it's my favorite cocktail, and mate, it sent me for six. This thing was so strong, and I felt so rough. I had just one cocktail, that was it. Like I say, first time drinking this year, and we're nearly halfway through the year, so my body is not used to alcohol anymore because obviously I don't really drink full stop. So I had this cocktail and oh mate, my head was fuzzy. I felt awful the next morning.
Is
So
it one of those places, like in some places where they don't do measurements? So like you'll be like, oh yeah, can I have like a vodka lemonade? And the full glass will be vodka, and then they'll give you like a can of lemonade as well, and you're like,
yeah,
bro, this is
yeah,
not what I asked
literally.
for.
So Yaz ordered a margarita, but it was basically just straight tequila. Like there was like three different types of tequila in this drink, but they make their money. So we were full board, but you don't. We're not all inclusive. So how they make their money is drinks. So it was £18 for a cocktail. So, do you know what I mean? So that's how they make their money, really. So, but luckily we don't drink, so it's fine. But that sent me. But yeah, lots of indulging. I did still work out whilst I was away, and they had a sauna there and stuff, so I got in that, and that was fine. But yeah, man, pleased to be home and just back on my shit, and looking forward to a good June, basically.
What
So
what is the thing that you've prioritized since you've got back? Like you've been away for a little bit. What are one of those things where you're like, right, I need to make social content. I need to get back to clients. Like, was there anything where you was like, right, these are the three things I'm gonna sort of
yesterday
hammer
was
down on
kind of
my
my
first day?
first day back at work, let's say.
What
So
days?
I
Oh
had
yeah, yeah.
I had three calls yesterday. Two were with clients about upcoming shoots in the next 2 weeks. So
Okay.
basically, getting my ducks in a row for shoots that are happening in June. And then I also had a call with a super talented photographer called Jessie. She's based out in Los Angeles. Hopefully, going to get her on the show. But chatting to her about TikTok and campaigns we've been doing and commercial work, and it was really nice to speak to another photographer that's kind of at a similar place to me, and
Hmm.
you always go away from those conversations feeling inspired. So yeah, I spent yesterday just kind of locking in, doing my admin, emails, had some meetings, and today is kind of similar. Obviously, we're podcasting today. I'm in the process of getting a new car.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. We've been speaking about this. Do you
yeah,
want
don't
to
know. I mean,
update?
I
Because
don't know how
last
much
time you
detail I
spoke
want to.
on, yeah,
I don't.
oh yeah, last time you spoke on the pod though, you did say you was thinking about a
Yeah.
BMW.
So
So
I'm getting a new car. It's nothing fancy, but
You know? Okay.
I'm gonna lease it through the business as a tax write-off. So
Okay. Yeah.
that's something you can do as I'm a limited company. So I'm leasing an electric car. It has to be fully electric, leasing it for 2 years, and basically all those monthly payments and all the money that goes in, like that car costs, I can write off as a tax expense. So,
Yeah.
it might save me 2 or 3 grand on my tax bill, and I'll be able to reclaim some of the VAT back and all that kind of stuff. So it just made sense for me financially. If I wanted to get a car anyway, because I haven't had one since didn't have a car in London. Now I've left London, I want a car again. So if I'm going to get one anyway, it just kind of makes more financial sense to get one through the business and take some money off my tax bill. If I'm going to get one anyway, I might as well take money off my tax bill. So
Yeah. And did you use ChatGPT? I think you did because
I use ChatGPT a lot, mate. I mean, I use it so much, and it's basically my PA. I say it's my
Yeah.
personal assistant, and I'm always going back and forth with it, running numbers, especially when it comes to this car deal.
Well,
Running
that's what I
numbers,
mean. Yeah.
running numbers through, comparing different car quotes, seeing how much it's going to save me compared to buying it personally and not through the business. How much it is to
Yeah.
insure, how
Yeah.
much it is to run, how much an electric car is to run compared to a petrol car, etc., etc. So,
Well,
um,
that is why I mention it because when we were getting the internet for this place, I run the internet through the business, because I primarily use it for that. And there was like 4 different deals of like, okay, how much is it over like inflation over 3 years? And I just literally screenshotted the packages, put it into ChatGPT and gave it like some key details.
yeah,
And then it just worked everything out and calculated it over
so
inflation and
good.
then how much you pay in the end. And it was like, yeah, this package is probably the best. And I was like, say less.
Mate,
So
honestly,
it's
it saves
super, super
so
helpful.
much brain power. Like,
Yeah.
to be honest, like I'm not that great with numbers, etc. Anyway, so especially for someone like me, that I would just screenshot the quote that BMW gave me or whoever it was, and then throw it into ChatGPT, and then it would just calculate, tell me the actual cost a month, how much it's actually going to cost me as a net cost once I've claimed
Mm.
that back and got the tax, reduction and all that kind of stuff. So it's just working out lots of stuff for me. So yeah,
Yeah.
so hopefully finalizing the car today, and then it'll arrive in July,
Amazing.
because it's
Amazing.
new factory order. So
Lovely.
yeah, so I'm looking
Just,
forward to that.
just before you move away from that, I do want to say that it's so helpful that AI can assist with like those business decisions because there are even today, like I mean, I've been working with my accountant and stuff for over 7 years, and even still, I catch them doing stuff where I almost have to like ask extra questions or just be like, oh no, can we do it this way? And they go, oh yeah, yeah, like whatever.
Yeah,
And it's so helpful just to be able to speak to ChatGPT and it outlines like what's possible for you, and then like at least in my experience, like your accountant can only do so much, and they're still human. And so if you don't tell them, oh, can we do this? They might just never
yeah,
mention it and you might miss
100%,
out on this thing. So,
100%.
yeah, AI is super, super helpful in terms of business decisions and
Yeah, I think
especially
I need to
tax and
upgrade
stuff and
to the
figuring out.
Plus. I know you pay for ChatGPT
Yeah, I've got
Premium.
4. I think it's £18 a month or something that I pay.
Um,
Very helpful. In terms of it saves memory as well. I don't know whether the free version does that. I can't remember.
it does, to be
Um,
fair, but like today I actually reached the limit, but the limit
hmm,
resets after 3 o'clock today, so it's like not
yeah.
even that long.
I
But
think the image generation is slower. Like Steph has the free version, and she was like, "Oh, I have to wait like 5 minutes for images," whereas I was just pinging them out like
yeah,
every
see,
10
I
seconds.
don't tend to do too much image generation.
Mm.
It's just more of an admin. Like I say, it's a PA, and
Yeah.
it's a great PA. So, anywho, that's happening, which is exciting. But other
Hmm.
than that, like, got a couple of, well, I've got one shoot next week, maybe two, and just getting back into the swing of things. Looking forward to the weekend. Ease myself back in with a few days at work, and then got the
Yeah.
weekend to reset, and then back at it on Monday. So I'm having a bit of a, without going into too much detail about it, a bit of a health reset as well. My gut has been, I think I mentioned it on the podcast, I was having issues with my gut. So I'm doing a bit of a detox as well. So on a bit of a health kick. All is well, mate. All is well.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Lovely,
man.
lovely. Well, I'm glad that you're back. I missed you.
Oh, that's
Um,
really sweet.
like I think it's only been a week since it's a long week.
Well, before you get too emotional, let's go over some camera news.
I
Okay.
know, yeah, quick, change the subject.
So, yeah, some camera news. So Sony has announced their new FX2. Sony's most affordable full frame cinema camera yet.
Hmm.
Apparently, it's a very similar body to the FX30 and the FX3. The FX2 body apparently is a little bit deeper, but it's got a tilting. Is it EVF? Correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
like an eyepiece on like a photo camera, like or I guess like an EVF in terms of if do you remember when you used to hold those like camcorders and it used to have
Yeah,
like an eyepiece? It's kind of
yeah.
like one of them. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, personal opinion, like especially from the video side, it's a weird camera. Like it's very niche. Like I can't imagine too many people would pick it up because it's, as far as I'm aware, it's sitting between the FX30 and the FX3. It's full frame. It does 4K 60, but I think it takes better pictures than the
Yeah.
FX30. I
So
think
it's a
it's 33
33
meg.
megapixel full
Yeah.
frame camera. So it's kind of saying it could be a bit of a hybrid. It's a
Hmm.
mashup of Sony's best stills and pocket cinema cameras. So
Yeah.
it's a bit of an interesting camera. Obviously, it doesn't excite me at
People
all.
think it could be setting up the A7 V. So you know, like how you've got the A7R and you've got the A7S, and then you have like the A7, like whatever in the middle. And so Sony's next middle camera, which is the A7 V, should be coming out soon. And people think that it's kind of setting up like, oh, the FX2 is a middle camera between these two cinema cameras. So maybe, so yeah, in my opinion, I think it's because what is it? It's still like 2,700, 2,800. It's a very very middle camera in an already super middle spectrum. Like you've got the FX30 and then the FX3, so the spectrum is already like dead small, and then you've got the FX2 in the middle, and it's
How
like,
how much is the
guys,
FX30 and the FX3?
the
Because
FX.
go on.
Sorry, go on.
I was going to say the new FX2 is going to be £2,700. So
The
it's like
FX3 is about three and a half, I reckon.
okay, yeah.
And then the FX30, I think it's like 1,500. Let me just triple check. I know Nabil had one and then he upgraded to the FX3. Like, if I just search it real quick. Yeah, FX30 is 1,600 quid, 1,800 quid. On at least the main photo sites like Wex and CBP and stuff like that.
Someone's
So,
commented on this blog post saying, "Funny how this camera is touted as affordable. $3,900 in the US works out as 5,000 K in Canadian dollars. Not affordable for cinematographers on a budget, unless your budget involves deep pockets." So I did a TikTok bringing this up. I did a TikTok quite a
mm,
while ago, but it got some traction and it gets comments every now and then. And basically, it's the cameras I would buy as a beginner if I was starting again. And I basically mentioned that I'd buy the Sony A7R III second hand, which is like a 50 megapixel camera, full frame, and
nowadays as well.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it would cost probably like £900 to £1,000. And the reason, and everyone's like, bro, like that's not a beginner affordable camera. Like it's a grand for a camera. And to be fair, they're so right. And I probably made a mistake doing that. But my point was, you can spend £400 or £500 on a beginner camera, right? And what are you laughing at?
Well, you was like, to be honest, they're so right. And I'm like, £900 for a camera isn't like I don't
So,
think
but
that
but
I would expect
we're
that. Yeah,
coming
yeah,
at it, Cameron. We're coming
yeah.
at it from such a different point because we're 7, 8 years
True,
deep
but
into the
just
industry. Like we're not starting out in photography, so someone that's starting out, isn't going to want to spend that much. But let me finish my point. Okay, so let me finish my point. I said to the guy, look, I agree with what you're saying. However, if you spend £400 or £500 on a camera, and if you like photography and you're serious about it, in 6 months' time, I guarantee you, or even 10 months or 12 months, you're going to want to upgrade. And you're going to want to then buy a camera that's £1,500 or
that's what happened to
£1,000.
me. That's
Yeah,
what
it's
I did.
exactly what happened to
Yeah,
you. So if you're at the start, you spend £1,000 on a full frame Sony A7R III, that thing will last you 3 years before you might decide to upgrade because it's already that good that you're not going to need to. Do you know what I mean? You're not getting an entry level
yeah,
camera and then after 6 months deciding I want to make a jump up. So that was my point and the kind of reason why I said like if I was starting again, I would buy something like a Sony A7R III. You can pick them up for a grand used in good condition, and that's like a dreamy first camera. So I understand the point they were making, but Yeah. Anyway, that's a bit of a side note, but
Well, yeah, but
um,
I think what's interesting though is like as a professional, you looking back, you do know what kind of camera settings are worth it and what aren't, and so like the A7R III back when it was like releasing or like when it was new, that was expensive and it was a professional camera. But nowadays, the A7R III is like that's a good budget camera for what you get and
yeah.
what you may need, like if you was going to take photography seriously. So it's like this weird thing where it's almost like just listen to what we're recommending because it kind of makes
Because
sense. But
Cameron's always right.
well, we're kind of like looking at it from top down, and it's like, oh, the A7R III is like where probably you would stop to, like, you won't keep going down like to the R2 or anything like that. But from the bottom up, when like you're first starting and you're looking at like the list of cameras, you're looking like from cheapest to most expensive, I guess. Whereas, like, you don't know enough to know like the utility and
Yeah.
like what you might need and what. So, well, I guess what's worth it, I suppose.
I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah,
I
yeah.
agree. So moving on, I got two more news stories in the
Two
photography
more news
world.
stories.
Yeah, so first
Okay.
one, short and sweet. This one's quite funny. A parrot found its way into Nikon's flagship store in China, Beijing, and it just so happens that photographers were testing out the bird photography lenses, and this
Oh
parrot
my
found its
god.
way in. And there's a funny video of all the bird photographers photographing the parrot that managed to find its way into the store, and testing out the new Nikon lenses. So some
And
good
did
press for
did they
Nikon there.
use those images to advertise the camera? Where they're like, look at
I
the
have
quality and the megapixels, and it's just
I
this
have
parrot that broke into the
no
warehouse.
idea, no idea, and don't care really. And
Okay.
next and final point. This is something I'm excited about and has perked
hmm
my interest. The Ricoh GR4 has been announced and it's coming out. So Ricoh is the Ricoh GR3. I'm sure you'll put a screenshot up for the listeners. Is
Oh
this
great.
is a pocket camera that I really want. So a few friends of mine have got it. Fred's got it. Ben's got it,
Mm.
and they both speak so highly of this camera. Whenever someone says to me, "Oh, what pocket camera could I get that is digital and it's almost like close to a 35mm point and shoot, and it's something that's small and I can carry it around?" Most people will say the Fuji X100V, or the overpriced that's like going for £1,600 second hand. It's whatever, but it's that small 35mm kind of point and shoot digital camera. Ricoh do one which has no viewfinder, it's just screen, which is a drawback to some people, but this thing is literally the size of your iPhone, if not smaller, fits in your pocket, and I think it's great. And that's the GR3. They've now announced the GR4, which is going to launch later this year, and will have a new lens and a new sensor. So apparently, it's got a 26 megapixel sensor, a new imaging engine, and it also has a new fixed wide angle lens. And I'm very excited about it. It was they spoke about it in May 22nd, so last week. And I might be trying to buy it.
Interesting. I'm actually looking at it right now. Like it doesn't. The price is pretty spenny for like what it
I was
is.
about
Like
to get to the price. What is the price?
it. Well, I don't think it's absolutely official, but it looks like it's about 800 quid.
That's so cheap compared to
That's the GR3.
yeah. So the GR3 you can pick up for about 700 probably used off
It does
MPB.
6K.
For what?
It does 6K.
Does it? That's pretty good, isn't it?
It's a crop sensor, but it does 26 megapixels
Yeah.
and 6K.
Mate, so basically, so
In
the
that's pretty
GR3,
tiny. That's crazy.
mate, is so tiny. This thing is so, and I've seen some of the images
28
that
mil.
I've seen the
Mm.
images that Ben and Fred have kicked out on this thing, and they are so good. And I think if you compare it side by side with its competitor, which would be the Fuji X100V or whatever, like it's smaller, it's lighter, it actually fits in your jeans pocket, and the images kind of look the same. So that's what I tell people to buy. I don't own one, but I want to own one, and I will certainly be looking at this new version 4 that's coming out at the end of the year. So I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for that.
Very nice. I
Um,
just want to make a correction. The sensor is 6K. Video is 1080p.
okay,
Not
nice.
interested.
Not
Video
interested.
wise, not interested.
Yeah, I wouldn't get
I'm
it.
only
I wouldn't get
joking.
it for
Yeah,
video.
photos looks good. I used to have the Canon G7X. Actually, I still do. Um, and that was a banging camera. By the way, I never told you, or at least I don't think I did. I'm gonna buy the Sony A7C II.
I think you did mention
Um,
this. So
is it the C2? Yeah, it is.
talk us through that and why.
Um,
I'm
so
not familiar with the camera, so
so I wouldn't recommend doing this if you was just getting it for the reason I am. But basically, it's essentially just a small Sony camera. Think of like the A6500 or the A6700, except it's full frame and it's basically like an FX3 or an FX6 just in a small body. It's basically that. But I'm primarily getting it so that I can take it out on like on holiday. I can get it take it out and about, and also because I want to start doing YouTube properly.
yeah.
There's that, and also Steph wants to start, shooting pictures and doing YouTube. So it's like, okay, me and Steph, it's 2K. So me and Steph are going to spend $1,000 each on it, and we're going to get that. So, but the reason why I said I wouldn't recommend people doing this is because if you guys were starting a YouTube channel, don't buy cameras specifically to.
I mean, I would just use my iPhone to start with. They're great.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So, but
You're better off buying a pair of DJI microphones and just using your iPhone.
you just reminded me. I just bought the Holyland MC mics for my dad. Wanted to start making some content, and he was looking at.
Sorry. Hold the phone.
Sorry.
Hold the phone. Your dad wants to start making content.
Yeah, so my dad is really into like motorbikes and stuff, and you know what people are like where they have the motorbike and it's their pride and joy and all this, and so
Yeah.
my dad was like, he's filmed some videos like on his phone and stuff, and he was gonna get some really cheap like you know like them crappy like £40 microphones off Amazon, and I was like, Dad, let me do some research for you, let me see, and obviously you've got those new DJI mics that you have,
They're so
and then there's
good.
and then the competitors to them is Holyland.
So you went with the competitor.
So I went with Holyland, but I think it was £100, and I decided to split that with my dad. So he was, instead of him spending £40, he spent £50 and got like proper microphones.
That's cheaper than the DJIs,
So
to be fair. I think
I think they're about £20.
I paid 150, I think.
Okay, yeah, I think these were 118 or something.
Okay, yeah.
Like 110.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Holyland are super famous, like on set. Like, you know those headsets when you was on that Puma shoot and that's Holyland.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Decent.
yeah, got them as well. But my point,
exciting.
my original thing though was, yeah, just like a nice smaller camera to go out and about. And because at the moment the FX6 is there, and it's fine for shooting indoors, but like if you're going out and about and you just want to capture stuff on holiday, or you just want to be out and about capturing stuff,
You need something small.
you don't want to be carrying stuff out. So obviously, if it was just me on my own, I wouldn't be buying a $2,000 camera. But because I can split it, that's one of the benefits of having a girlfriend, is that you can.
FX9 yet?
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, I've sent it to MPB.
Nice.
Yeah. I'll let you know how much I get for it. I am not optimistic. I think it's quite unfortunate.
Isn't looking to.
And the FX9 is like super popular camera, so obviously it's not very in demand in terms of it's not limited.
Yeah.
So I think I'm looking at, with my FX9 and the Shogun 7.7-inch monitor, it's like 3K.
And just tell the listeners so I can sit here and kind of laugh. How much did you pay for this camera?
Back in 2020, I paid 12K for this fucking camera, and but
okay, hold the phone.
Yeah,
hold the phone.
yeah.
Everyone listening to this that's kind of chuckling away to themselves. You have 100% made that money back using this thing. So yes, you've lost a lot of money on it for sure, but you have made a lot of money with said camera. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's not like you've driven it around like a car and you didn't make any money with it. Like, you've made a lot of money with the camera. So.
It's like buying a car and then that car becoming an Uber car, making a shitload of money for 5 years, and then selling the car, but being okay that the car is now cheaper. Yeah. So it's okay. However, I am not super happy with the 3K. Like it's a big drop, that, man. Like, it's fucking massive. Yeah. However, I understand, and also in my position, I'm looking to, like, now that I'm outside of London, especially, mate. Only MPB are the people that will let me ship it to them for free and insured. Everyone else is like, oh yeah, you're gonna have to come to London and bring it to us. And I'm like, so you want me to travel for 3 hours, 4 hours, and give it you, and then have to come back for 3 or 4 hours? Like, and it's not insured. Like, this thing. So I'm like, why doesn't anybody else offer insured shipping? So in terms of like those circumstances, I'm like, and also a train ticket down to London is like 100 odd quid. Plus you've got the time and energy it takes to like.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
It's just
just
whatever's
I'll
worth
just
it,
send
right?
it you and get what I can for it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
I could probably sell it privately, but again, like I just don't want the hassle. I'd rather just sell it out. So
So you pay for
yeah,
convenience, right? Or you lose money for convenience in
yeah,
this
time and
case.
convenience, and
And
I'm a
that's going to
very
pay for your
convenience
new.
driven
It's going to pay
person.
for your new camera, your new Sony C whatever.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's not all. Like at the bare minimum, I'm like only just going over breaking even. Like if I buy that camera, then if I was buying an FX3, like originally I was like the FX3, I'm getting rid of an FX9. I want an FX3, and getting rid of the FX9 doesn't even cover the cost of the FX3. It doesn't make sense. Um. But it's okay. So now that I'm getting the A7C II, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Nice, man. Well, I'm
Yeah,
excited for
man.
you to get that and kind of hear more about it, and I'm sure the listeners would also like to know how you get on with that camera. So
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be nice to. What's hilarious as well is I obviously started off by making YouTube videos years ago before I became professional in the industry, and I wanted to go up to a cinema camera, and now I've got to a cinema camera, and now I'm going back down to almost a setup that I had when I was doing YouTube originally. So it's
I
like,
bet.
damn, full circle.
If I was
Damn.
starting YouTube, I would 100% just use my iPhone, 1000%
Oh, for
for now.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
now.
definitely. I wouldn't be doing it if I couldn't split the cost or use it on holiday or whatever. Like, yeah, it's just not worth it.
No.
Um, but
Anywho,
yeah, man. Yeah,
let's get into a little bit of a topic. So,
please.
do you need a degree for the creative industry in 2025? Is the big
I can
question.
answer
Now,
that with one answer, Matt. One answer.
so the reason I asked this is because someone reached out to me recently, and she was like, "Look, I'm studying at secondary school. I'm looking to obviously at that point where you go to university, finish your exams. Do I need? I want to be a photographer. I'm thinking about being a photographer. Do I need to go and do a degree in photography in order to be one?" Now, obviously, there's lots of different caveats to this answer. My answer was no, you don't. And the reason I say that, a lot of people I know, you actually studied a degree that's kind of in the realm, but I
I
see,
have I have a degree in post production for film and TV.
yeah,
Yeah,
which kind of obviously lends itself to video work, etc.
lends itself like
But they,
it is
well,
in post production. It's post
well,
production for
yeah,
video.
but so I
Are you
I did
trying to
sport and
make my degree sound useless, Matt?
no, I
Are you
mean
trying
mine
to
was
make it sound
useless.
useless?
So I did a degree in sport and exercise science. Obviously, it's got nothing to do with photography, and I have not done a single course degree whatever in photography, but it is my full-time job. So based off that experience, obviously, I'm going to say no, you do not need one.
Hmm.
And multiple friends within the industry that currently do what they do for a living, whether that's photo or video, I would say I don't actually want to slap a percentage on it, but I would say more than half of those people did not study it. Maybe more than half. Maybe 60-70% didn't study it. And that just goes to show, I kind of said, your work is going to speak for itself. So, not once in any job that I've done, whether it's for whatever brand, have they said, "Oh, can I see your CV? Do you have a degree in photography?" It's not the way it works. Your portfolio and your website and your work that you kick out and what you're like as a person is what's going to do the talking and is what's going to get you employed and is what's going to get you jobs. So just bear that in mind. Now, I've got some friends that are just finishing studying photography at university or whatever, and they'll probably go on to be a photographer. And some at periods in my career, I was like, oh, that would be actually really cool because I actually would have been taught everything that I wanted to learn, and I would have got studio experience, and I would have got experience using lighting. And my friend Jamie, who's just finishing up in uni now, he's at a uni in London studying like photography and whatever, and they've got access to the top cameras. They've got their own studios. They can shoot whatever they want. It's all free. They can use their print room. The whole works, which is actually a bit of a dream. So, but you're also in debt by how much? 50 grand, 60 grand at the end of it. So, do you know what I mean? So this is where it weighs up. So my answer was no, but it's obviously something you can look into if you're dead set that you want to do that, but also you don't need to get yourself into the debt. If you're passionate about something, you're going to learn, you can shadow, you can spend way less money by hiring a studio and learning yourself, and you can teach yourself. Like I taught everything like through YouTube, and just like experience being on a set and asking questions and pushing my photography and shooting a lot, and that's how you get better, right? So you don't need a degree to go out and make connections. You don't need a degree to go out and meet people at brands and do a personal shoot and show them that you are good enough to shoot for this brand or that brand. So bear that in mind for sure. That's kind of what I want to say straight off the bat.
Hmm. Yeah, I strongly agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I think, I look back at, I'm very grateful for when I did my uni degree, just because back then there wasn't like a lot of information in terms of like, I didn't know what a cinematographer was, and I didn't know the difference between like the positions of like, what's the difference between a cam op and an editor, or like a cam op and a cinematographer. Like that, like I knew nothing. I just knew that I liked something to do with cameras. I didn't even know whether it was, do I like doing photos first or video, because nowadays there's such a broad range of like content creation that it's hard to be like, I kind of like doing everything. Like, what do I become if I like doing photo and video, or these things? And getting a degree, I think, is really good for being specific in a niche. Like, there's a guy on YouTube called Robert Machado, and he is an amazing cinematographer, and he went to film school, and he learned proper stuff about cinema and lighting and like foot candles and luxes and like all this stuff. And it's like, okay, but he went to film school to specifically be a cinematographer, so it was like tailored very nichely to like what he was aiming for. But I think nowadays, like, again, like, look, I'm grateful for what my degree did for me in terms of helping me understand, like, oh, like, I know what I want to do now. But it took me 3 years in uni to discover that. I could have literally just, in 6 months, gone out and done a bunch of different stuff for real life and figured that out. So I do think if you know already what you want to do, absolutely, like in terms of specific thing, then I think it's worth it. But if you are a little bit more like, oh, well, I like doing this and I like doing that, and maybe I do like editing, and maybe I do like using Capture One as well and stuff, then it is so much easier to literally go out and just get real world experience, and you'll make like 3 years doing it on your own is like doing 10 years of uni.
Well,
like
also, I think
the
you hit the
jump
nail
is
on
so...
the head when you were saying about being specific, right? So if you think that you want to be more of a content creator and you just want to do these like quick and easy shoots where you show up and you take photos of an athlete and there isn't really much light required and it's very easy and it's straightforward, you don't need to go to uni to learn that. You can learn that with a load of YouTube tutorials and just by doing. But like you say, if you want to be a cinematographer and you want to shoot high-end movies, then going to film school is going to be beneficial. Like, do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I like beneficial as well. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, there are ways now of where you could just do that on your own. So yeah, I like that you said beneficial and not like the mandatory route.
Yeah, 100%. So and I feel like I don't want to get into it too much because it's also completely situation dependent, right? I went to uni and studied something different, but without those 3 years at uni, I wouldn't have been able to figure out that I wanted to be a photographer. I didn't have the time to figure out what I wanted to be. So it all depends on like where you're at in your life and what you want to do. And, if you can stay at home and do a job and save loads of money whilst you also try and pursue a photography career, you're probably going to be better off in that sense because you're not going to have 50, 60 grand's worth of debt with a student loan. And
that's a big factor.
But like I'll have to pay that off, over however many years or whatever. But what you laughing at? Or will I have to pay it off?
Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, well, if you have a company or whatever, you can kind of you can earn as much as you want, but you don't earn it personally. So like, you don't pay your student loan back.
Yeah, I do pay myself minimum wage.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like we should do an episode on. We need to get an accountant on, but like, anywho, let's park that. Let's park that. But
oh god,
you've made me lose my train of thought. That was it. You might really want to get out of your hometown, and you might really want to like get away from home and go live with and make new friends,
housemates,
and live in the city for a few years and have fun and go and party and go and enjoy like being a 20-year-old. And I did those things and like I loved it and I made some friends for life. So do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a way up.
I understand that, right? But are you going to take 60 grand out from the bank to go and do that? Or are you going to just go and fucking move and do it regardless? Like, say, go get a regular job, save up 5 grand if you can, or 3 grand, whatever you need to be there for a few months, then just go and figure it out. Like, see, I look back on my uni stuff that I learned, and see, this is one of the things that you don't realize at the time is when you are younger, you don't know what you don't know. So the information can be really overwhelming. You don't know what's quality information and what is. But looking back on my uni degree, the stuff that I learned in uni is like the basics of like, obviously I do like a lot of post-production now. And I was in Avid for 3 years. I worked in Premiere, I worked in After Effects, and I worked in Avid. And looking back, it's like the stuff that I learned in Avid, I probably could have just learned within 2 weeks when I needed it to use in the industry. Like I could have just gone, oh, like how do I do an AS11 file? Oh fuck, okay, right, I'll just learn. Now the resources exist nowadays just probably to be able to search YouTube or use AI or whatever to do that. But back then there wasn't. But I still look back and go, oh my god, I remember color grading in Resolve when I was in uni and it being really difficult. And now I do that on every project myself, and it's literally just the bare basics. So I look back at my uni degree and I'm like, I just learned the basic way of using Resolve. I didn't even learn anything advanced.
Yeah.
So there is this thing of like,
spend 3 years kind of not really being super productive. Do you know what I mean? Like you could probably learn everything in a crash course in 6 months or a year that's spread over 3 years.
Especially nowadays. Like, and I think what's difficult as well is, again, when you don't know what you don't know, you think the education in uni is super like, oh well, I'm paying for it and I'm at uni, but realistically, the information is just as good everywhere else. Like you can watch a YouTube video, or you can watch a, like you can pay for a course for like 700 quid, for example, and you'll probably get good information from that course online compared to, and again, like there is the argument of, oh well, lecturers and they've been in the industry for years, and it's like, yeah, but you could go on set and just meet someone who's been in the industry for years and ask them. Like, there's not like an isolated solution in uni, whereas like you can go out, there's just other methods, and I think the experience of uni is good and studying something, but like when you factor in the debt, it's like you could literally just go and do it faster and cheaper in today's world. And I was watching a video recently about how we're in an interesting time right now, because since like say the 1960s onwards, it's been the industrial age, and you've been taught how to get a job and like how a degree's like relevant and stuff. But then we're currently in this crossover where the digital age is rising and the industrial age is going down. So it's like this cross. And so the people that are complaining about like not being able to get a job and their degree is useless, it's because they're on this down one. And then you've got like 15-year-olds that are making millions on the digital age.
Yeah.
So we're in this time where there's like a disruption where the education isn't as good as it used to be. And I was watching an AI guy that said that education and intelligence is, well, actually, maybe intelligence, obviously, but education is going to be not as valuable as it used to be, because you don't need to know what something is, because you can just say ChatGPT, like, I need to know this answer right now. What is it? I don't need to learn it and memorize it for 3 years. I could just say, oh, how do I do this in Blender? And it'll go, yeah, you just do this, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I'm going to remember that because I need to use it now. Whereas I didn't,
It's like learning on the job.
It's complicated. It's complicated.
Yeah.
There's no good answer. But if you're poor and you're going to take 60 grand's worth of debt out, don't fucking do it. Like, like it can be.
But obviously, you don't start paying. It's not like.
I don't know.
You don't pay that back until you earn a certain amount. For one, the government don't make you pay your student debt back until you're earning a certain amount and you're above a certain threshold. So
I think if you earn 27k for me,
so it's not like if you leave uni, you're like the knife to your throat, like right, pay up. You got to pay this much a month. It's done based on your earnings and stuff, like, and what brackets you're in. So bear that in mind as well, obviously.
Yeah, we're just in a really interesting age, man, and I don't want to harp on the point too much. But I also want to say that when I said a minute ago, don't do it, ignore me, don't take my advice, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But at the same time, like, I just remember being in uni and I didn't know enough to make a decision. Yeah. Like you just didn't know, and so naturally, I think there's this thing with student. Man. Yeah, but I think there's this thing with uni.
When I look back to who I was when I'm like 18, and I'm just like, and what uni did give me was like life experience. I went away, like lived with mates. Like I'm not in home anymore. You've got to cook your own food. You've got to
Okay,
fend for
I didn't do that.
yourself. And see, yeah, see that's
So
wild.
I
Like,
had a different. I drove. I lived 40 minutes out of Manchester, so I just drove in and lived at my
yeah,
parents.
see, that's
Which
very
so
different.
I had even cheaper costs at uni,
Yeah,
where I didn't have to take a loan out to like live at
yeah,
my
home.
residence or wherever.
Yeah,
But I think again, like just looking back, I think there's this notion of uni is for making mistakes and let's just take out a loan. And now that I'm older, I look back and I'm like, damn, if I have a kid that is 18 years old, I'm gonna be like, taking out a loan to go to university is the last option. If you know, especially if you work in the creative industry, like there's so
yes,
many ways of doing it. Like you could
yeah.
work with
Especially
Nike
if you want to be a
and
doctor, you have to go to uni to be a doctor. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there's obviously we're not talking about every scenario here, but I don't regret uni because of the life skills that I like. I went to uni, like I say, fended for myself. You're having to cook, clean for yourself. You're having to do everything for yourself. You become a bit of a you start becoming a man. Like you start becoming an adult that has to like look after themselves. And I learned valuable skills at uni. So I did a lot of coaching in sports and all that kind of stuff, and it taught me to have soft skills and talk to a crowd and talk to a big group of people and make decisions and be decisive when I talk and when I'm coaching, and all of those things now really aid me in my career when I'm on set and I'm having to direct talent and tell them what I want and tell a room of people what I need. And do you know what I mean? So those
yeah.
obviously
But do you know
skills
where
do
else you
cross
can get
over.
those skills? Just
Of
by going
course.
on set.
Yeah, true. But I'm
Yeah,
not I'm saying what I'm saying is they didn't hinder, like those things that I learned are still valuable. And I didn't know, I went to uni and I thought that I wanted to be a PE teacher, strength and conditioning coach, whatever it was. So that's what I went to uni to do because that's what I thought. My plans change and life changes. That's life.
yeah.
Um, and that's just the way it
Well,
is. So
isn't that also something to consider though? Is that like plans do change and you do get older and you kind of go, oh, like 4 years at uni, you go, I don't even want to do this anymore. I actually want to change things. So like when you're saying those things, like, I do think it's really important to consider the lens of, like I'm not just going to uni to get educated for this degree or whatever. It's like, no, but I'm going to meet new friends. I'm going to learn how to live with other people. I'm going to do this. But at the same time, you could get those things other ways without going into like debt. Like you could just move out of your parents' place into a house share in London and get a job and pay you
yeah,
rent your own way and learn those skills that way as
yeah,
well.
no, no, true, true.
But obviously you don't have friends that are sharing the same experience like being at uni. So
Yeah,
I think really maybe the best way to put it is that if you are thinking of going studying, don't just think about it in terms of you're just going to get educated. Maybe think about it in terms of the overall like nights out and living with
experience.
other people and making like friends for life. Like, but then consider that against having like a loan. It's
Yeah.
like, is it worth doing that for like a loan compared to? Because after you lived in London with your mates, after you've been living with like some of your best mates for like the last couple of
Yeah,
years in
so
London.
yeah, I was living with
So,
Dill in London, who I met at uni for many years. It was like
hmm,
one of my closest mates. But it's funny, like I've obviously moved back home now, and I speak most to obviously like probably like you, Giuseppe, a few friends in London, but I'm really close to my home mates, and we've
hmm,
stayed close all the way throughout. And they're my friends at school, and I've seen other friendship groups that are actually like still closest with the people that went to school with. And I feel like that's because you see someone change so much between the ages of 11 and 18. Like you
yeah,
really change and develop as a human, but then they also see you like I've been friends with like Matt and Will since I was 10 years old. I'm now 28. So
hmm,
they've seen like 18 years of your life. They've seen you at every high, every low, every major milestone. They knew you when you were a little kid and they were a little kid. And I think there's something to be said about that. Someone that knows you on such a level that they've seen you at every single facet of life, and that's wild. So, um, yeah, there's something like really nice about that. But there's a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going to give a definitive answer to the question. I think it's
yeah,
very situational dependent. Wouldn't go back and study. I wouldn't go and study photography if I was doing it and starting again. But that's a decision in hindsight. So that's where I'm going to leave it.
yeah. I think the same thing. I also think it may be quite controversial, this topic, because there might be people listening who are currently studying in uni and we're like,
Yeah, yeah,
hesitant. But I think what it is, it's like
But
what
if
you
you
make
can
of
I
it as well afterwards. It's not just, oh, your experience at uni. It's like you might have met those people because you went to uni, and you might
yeah.
never have met them. So there is those factors where it's open to what's that thing like serendipity, like
But also just make the
life,
most of it. So if you are there and you're listening and you're studying, cool, like you've committed, but just
mate.
make the most of it.
Mate, I had access to camera equipment at uni that I didn't rent out at the time.
Yeah.
And as soon as you leave uni, you've got to pay for that shit. If
Yeah.
you have access to cameras at uni,
Studios, lighting,
studios, color
cameras,
grade, I had color grading
everything.
suites that I never used, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, why did I not do that?
Yeah. So if
Um,
you are there and you are
yeah,
paying for it, get every penny out of it, make the most of it. I also have heard many
yeah,
stories of people that have gone and studied it and it's made them not like it because they get forced to do certain
mm,
things. So, but at the end of the day, like you don't know until you try, and it goes back to that. You don't really know where you want to take your life. The next best thing you can do is just go and do stuff and see what sticks. If you sit around contemplating it, like I don't know what I want to do, and you stay at home, you're not going to get anywhere. So you might as well go out and try stuff and do
mm.
stuff and see what you're passionate about. And you won't know what you're passionate about until you go out and try a load of shit. And one thing will stick. So
You know, again, like when you're speaking about that, though, ultimately, I do think the loan part is the big thing because it's like if you're going to try this, you can try all these different things, but this one thing you might have to go into debt for. And it's that thing of like, is it worth it to you to go into debt just to try this thing, or you can just go and do it with as much like less, like way less cost.
yeah,
And you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like you can kind of do the same thing in different routes, but one of them, like I don't know, it seems more straightforward on paper, but it's like actually what you learn in uni, you could learn outside of uni. So it's
yeah.
what you don't know what you don't know, which is what makes it so difficult.
This is not
Yeah,
financial advice for those listening, and this
this
is
is not
just our
education advice
opinions.
either.
Yeah, this is just our opinion. I thought it's an
Yeah,
interesting topic, and it's something that has come up many times over the years. So,
yeah. Well,
um,
let's wrap up with our opinion then. So you said if I could go back and learn photography, I probably wouldn't do it. You would probably just go and learn it as you did.
correct. Yeah.
And I think the same thing as well.
Okay.
Even more so nowadays, now that you do have YouTube and there's courses and there's actual professionals that did a degree and then created a course because they were like, okay, I'm going to teach you what I learned when I was doing it. So yeah, there's just more option nowadays, more
Sure.
opportunity, and
Sure.
I would prefer to do that.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Let's wrap up the show there, mate. Thanks for
yeah.
listening, guys. If you made it this far, we appreciate your support. Can you please, 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 if you haven't already, give us a
Subscribe to my YouTube channel.
subscribe to our Spotify first. Give us a follow.
Yes.
Give us a little 5-star rating if you're enjoying the show. And as always, you can subscribe to our newsletter, which is in our Instagram bio. And we will see you in the next episode. Much love, guys. Peace out.
Thank you, guys. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.